Welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, or Nostalgia, whichever one you want to address me as, either or. Anyway, I just wanted to make a quick video, kind of basically summarizing the vacation. Of course, I'm going to post this after you see the vlogging of it all, for you to kind of get an opinion of how things went. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, definitely subscribe. And if you like the content and have any other ideas of what you think I could do to make the channel better, let me know. I'm very open-minded when it comes to that. And also, if you noticed, my friend, my homie, Whisper, she's making an appearance per usual. You might see her later on, per usual. She just likes to make her appearance here and there. Anyway, I want to give you a review. If I was to rate this vacation that I was just on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably rate it a 7. A strong 7. It wasn't horrible, but just a lot of things, of circumstances that I couldn't control happened, and things I could control happened. It was a little bit my mindset going into it, and a little bit of just, you know, climate and weather. You know, ideally, if I was to go away and leave Chicago in the winter months, I would like to have it where I'm leaving somewhere warmer. And normally that would be the case. I went somewhere where it was warmer, but the results were not the results, clearly. That's one thing that I think was a huge theme when it came to vacation, that made it where it was less than desirable, especially when it came to the hiking of it all. The other kind of unforeseeable circumstance that kind of changed how the vacation went was, it was my first time like having kind of a somewhat major injury or recovering from one. Because also, to preface this, I don't think I've ever mentioned this in the prior videos. I know I mentioned my foot 1,000 times, but when it comes to me breaking a bone, first time ever in my whole entire life I've ever broken a bone. So the way I'm reacting to it, that's why I'm reacting to it, because I've never had any major injury. Even with or without training, I've never had any major injuries ever. So it changes things by quite a bit. So that was a little bit of a gut check, but that's okay. But it basically limited some of the things I would normally do on the vacation, because I was just kind of paranoid and didn't want to like injure myself again, just because I freshly, you know, recovered. The other new variable is, last time I went on a solo trip pre-pandemic, I did not have pets. So me leaving my cats alone, I know that sounds a little dramatic, but I just wasn't really used to that. I've done it in other vacations, but this one just hit different, because all the other times I went on vacation, I've only been gone for like maybe, I want to say like a week or so. And the other times I went away on vacation, I don't know, it just wasn't the same. And I had like, at the time, all the other times I went on vacation, I had someone watching the pets. And so it wasn't as big of a deal. Like I had a roommate during the pandemic, and that helped. So I didn't feel it as much. And also I trusted the roommate to watch my stuff, watch my cats and my things. When it comes to the person who's watching my cats now, yeah, there's more. I mean, it's complicated. There we go. We'll just leave it at that. It's complicated. So that was another variable that was different. So there's a lot of outside circumstances that made this leading me going to this vacation interesting, to say the least. And also, I was just way more stressed than I've ever been. Going into that, I would say this. I'm at a point in my life right now, and this is without me sharing too much, where I'm seeing the evolution of me. but I'm like seeing it. Like, it's very clear and obvious that I am not the same person as I was even 5 years ago. Or even like, definitely not 10 years ago. Child, no. You know, evolving is the operative word. But because of that, a lot of what I value has changed. A lot of like what I think about has changed. I've become a little bit more of a high-strung person than ever, because I just realized that there's way more at stake. I think before I just kind of was living life, and not in a bad way. I just wasn't, and it wasn't in a way where like I just kind of didn't have any passion. Anyone who knows me knows I'm always passionate. It was just more or less like, I'm trying to think how I would say this. It's like I had, I'm moving now a lot more now with intention. There we go. So every move I do now and have been doing the past couple of years has been with intention. Like, it's been a lot more thought out. Like, in the past, I would say when it comes to how I've landed, it's always been, don't get it twisted, I feel like I'm a very blessed person and highly favored. Whether you believe in that or not, like, circumstances always kind of go to my favor. But the difference is it would just happen that way all the time. It was never like my intention. And now it's a lot more of an intention for things to go a certain way. And like, I hate to use the word manifesting because everyone uses that word and it's kind of annoying, but I don't know how else to describe it other than that, because that's just kind of where I'm at right now. So with all that being said, this was going on leading on to the vacation, because the last solo vacation I had was like 2019. So 2020, early 2020, right before we shut down. So like 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago, really, you know? So my mindset's a lot different. And a lot of the things I got going on is a lot different. Even my job is way different. Like, I wasn't making, you know, a lot has changed. I guess we'll just say that. So one thing that was kind of interesting about the trip was I'm used to going away a lot of times in the winter months to just go away, or I'm doing a race I actually want to do. And in this circumstance, I didn't really necessarily want to do the race. Like, I did the race because it was free. I wouldn't have chosen that race if it wasn't free. So it just kind of made my mindset of even that different. And even like a lot of times in winter months when I go away, I like to just go away and just kind of hike constantly and not think about the nightlife of it all or any of that. And I kind of, in this time around, I kind of was doing just a little bit of both, but not a lot. Like, I didn't do this trip because that's just never been my speed. But I went to a winery. Like, I wanted to meet new people and build connections. And I think that's the overarching thing. Oops, sorry about that. My light went out. So, and that's another thing too. Like, I guess the other arching thing is like, I'm trying to build connection right now. That's been the other intention I've been moving with, like building meaningful connections, not just, meeting people. Cause that's, in the past, I've always just been meeting people. It's never really been trying to build meaningful connections per se. Because those who probably have figured out, or you may not have figured out about me, I can talk to anyone. It's really not that hard. Like, it's easy for me to build a conversation and meet new people. That's the part that's overly easy. It's a little too easy for me though. That's the problem. So I think now at this point in my life, I've been trying to be a lot more mindful and selective of who I let in my space. And that has been something that I've had to learn the hard way more than once. Like, just because someone seems to be good for you doesn't mean they are. But anyway, I feel like I'm making this more about a life thing than the vacation thing, but it does tie into where my mindset was going into this vacation, along with how I was even acting while I was on this vacation. It was a lot different than probably ever. Another thing was, this vacation was different because I definitely was outside my comfort zone more than ever. All the other solo trips I went on weren't really completely solo to a certain extent. So my first solo trip was in California, and this was like in 2019. It was solo, but not really. In both parts, it was solo, but not really. So the first part of the trip was in like Sacramento / San Francisco area. Well, my business partner, or not business partner, but business partners through work, their headquarters is over there. So I actually ended up meeting up with one of the people who I used to work with on a very regular basis, and they showed me around. And we kind of built a great relationship, and I do want to go back and just visit her because she's cool, even though like I no longer work with her like that on a regular basis anymore, which kind of makes me sad, but that's neither here nor there. But that was like, so the first part of that trip, it was solo, but it wasn't, because I had kind of a tour guide. The second part of the trip that I went through in California was like the LA area. I was by myself, but I wasn't, because one of my close friends that used to live in Chicago lives in LA. And so he showed me around. We were basically just acting like ace boo coons, and it was a good time. So even though it was solo, it wasn't really solo. Like, I had people who I was meeting up with and giving me pointers on where to go and everything else. So that was like my first experience of solo trip. And then the other solo trip I went on after that was, I want to say, Arizona. So, and that was in early 2020. Because I go to Arizona so often, and I mean, before that, I've already been to Arizona like 5 times. I'm very familiar with Arizona. Arizona is like, kind of in a weird way, it's third home. So like, I know where to go. The directions aren't that hard. Everything's pretty easy peasy. You know, in my past, I had someone who used to live in Arizona, my ex, who showed me around. And thing is, I'm actually overly good with directions, so it stayed there. So, and that's just kind of my whole thing. Like, after I've been to a place like 2 or 3 times, cool, I know where to go, it's fine. And so that was actually a little bit more of a true solo trip, because I didn't really interact with anyone there that I knew. Even though I knew I could have reached out to some people, I didn't. I just kind of just did my own thing. So, and then the next solo trip I went on, which really, again, wasn't a solo trip. I guess all my other solo trips haven't really been solo trips because I've been meeting someone there. So to me, if I'm meeting someone there, to me, that doesn't really count as a solo trip. I know like my parents would probably think that it is, but for me, that's not. So even technically the California one was a little bit of a cheat code because I knew people, but because I'd never been there before, I counted it as a solo trip. Because I went to Cape Cod like last year, but I met my Chicago family. Like, I met like my other family there. Like, so because I met my family there, even though I've only been there like twice, that was only my second time going there. It didn't count. For me, it didn't count. So, yeah, so this was a lot different. And also all this was like, kind of like, I've never been to Vegas before. I don't know if even the Airbnb that I booked, if it was in a safe area or not. I just kind of was somewhat winging it, but somewhat not. So, and I was on my own completely. So it was pretty scary, but I knew I needed to do this to get outside my comfort zone and to get outside my head, even though I kind of high-key stayed in my head, but for a different reason. It's actually more of an in general thing. Ever since I started meal prepping, I don't really have like a serious strong appetite where I'm like, oh, I want this right now. Like, it's not really a thing as much. Like I do still have cravings for things, and then I'll have it and I'm over it. Like I honestly didn't even start having cravings for things till I got back, which is kind of weird. So I didn't really get to partake in some of the food scene that is Vegas, which kind of made me sad. But I guess I kind of wish I would have known what food scene was there. I asked the locals, but it just seemed like a lot of people, there were some people who gave me some good food suggestions, and I'm going to go back and try those things. But it seemed like a lot of it was just like overly Americanized junk. And I'm just, and I guess in a weird way, I kind of wish I would have just said, look, I'm from Chicago. You know, Chicago's foodie as hell. Like, when it comes to the foodiness of it all, you can find anything and everything here. And I kind of wish I would have partaked in that more. And also, if I would have been working out more and been able to run more, I would have felt like I would have had more incentive to be okay with eating wherever I want. Because subconsciously, I think I stopped myself from eating wherever I want just because I wasn't comfortable with doing that. And I don't know if that's like food disordery or not. It might be a little bit. You know, we've all had the struggles, and I have too. I'm not going to get that transparent here today, but I'll just say that kind of, in a way, subconsciously stifled me, where I just did not really want to eat the fattening food and, you know, say, oh, I deserve this. I just wasn't there. But I think next time I will. What else? The race was good. It wasn't great. It was good for what it was. I enjoyed it because it was something different, something new. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do another rock and roll again either. But that's, you guys will know you guys can tell from other videos why that is. Oh, one of the highlights of the trip that I didn't really show in a video that was awesome was I did definitely get a spa day in. And I've never done that before while I'm on vacation, do a spa day. I didn't do a full-blown spa day like I wanted to originally, just because I just didn't have enough time. And also, I kind of did get sidetracked and started talking to people and started enjoying myself while I was in Sedona. So that didn't quite happen that way. But, yeah, it still just kind of tells you I should have been in Sedona longer, and this would have been rated a lot higher, I think. I mean, I actually high-key probably wouldn't have even mind being snowed in there. Because a snowstorm was actually scheduled to happen before I left, like right when I was leaving it was snowing. But like I was already on the road to Phoenix to like fly out. But child, I kind of do wish I was like, that was snowed in. Because that Airbnb was everything too, by the way. That was probably one of the best Airbnbs I've stayed in. The hosts were attentive, they were awesome. If you guys want the information of the Airbnb so you guys can stay there in the future, just write in the comments. But it was one of the best. It was chef's kiss. Like everything you needed was there. They were so nice. Also, turns out one of them's from Indiana. So I was like, okay, this makes sense now. It's the Midwest thing. Like, you know, us Midwest people, we are nice. But yeah, it was just wonderful. And I just now am thinking, okay, Sedona just needs to be like a once-a-year thing for me. Or like once every 2 years. Because I don't know if I have the time to do that. Because there's just so much. The problem is I just want to do so many things. So it makes it hard. But yeah. But anyway, that is why I rated it 7. I would have given it higher if I had more time. So really, when it boils down to lack of time, my mindset, and the weather. If it wasn't for those 3 major variables, it would have been rated higher. Yeah. So I think I'm going to do this after I go to do every vacation now. I'm going to do a rating. I don't know if I want to include vacations from prior to me becoming a content creator, because it's not really fair, because you didn't even get to see any experience of that, other than if I was like post pictures or whatever, but I'm not going to do that. I'd rather you see a little bit more of what I'm doing. But as you probably even can tell in the video, it just wasn't as eventful as I would want it to be. Like, I normally do way more. I promise you, I normally do way more stuff than what I did this last vacation. I think it also you could chalk it up to me just kind of being exhausted. By the time I got to this vacation, I was just mentally exhausted and just emotionally exhausted, just because it's been an interesting, not just like recently, because I've already alluded to the weirdness of it all, but man, a lot has changed. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. I feel like probably everyone feels that way. And also trying to adjust to some form of normalcy is a whole entire thing too. But then also taking in what you learn from basically all that. And also, I think me getting older has changed a lot of my perspectives of things. And, you know, especially if you're someone who has, like, you know, you're single, and you're in a major city, and you don't have kids, and you really just have career, your mindset is different from others. I feel like. For me, it is. Like, I would say because of the fact that I don't have kids, other than my, you know, fur babies. The one who always likes to make this appearance. Look at her. Little whisper. Other than her and my other cat, like, I feel like in some ways my priorities are not quite the same as what others would be that are my age. So it's kind of weird. And I've talked to one of my close friends about this actually a couple months ago. Like, in a way, I kind of feel like I'm immature, but I'm not. I think I'm just youthful. It's just what I look at. I guess because of the fact that I don't have all these other variables of kids and things of that nature and husband and all of that, but also being in a major city where things move fast, it makes it where I have more time to actually truly focus on me and know me as a person. And maybe the thing is, a lot of people don't know themselves. But the problem is with me, I think I know myself a little too much and too well. So it's almost like, I don't know, it's weird. It's weird. And yeah, I was trying not to get too deep in this video, but somehow, some way it still happened. And maybe it has to do with like what happened at work today. I'm not going to get into that, but maybe that's what's happening there. But anyway, I got off subject like by a lot. But as you may have figured out, the vacation was very eye-opening and very much where I was able to continue to reflect, which is why I rated it so high, because that's where I'm at. I just want to keep reflecting. And maybe the reason why I'm rambling is because there's a full moon coming up. I don't know. But anyway, let me know what you think of the content. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Bye.